Sparks, flashes of brilliance, prompts, bold moves, threads our wildest ideas together. So what exactly is the student spirit? Well, it's the part of us that's forever curious, a mindset where anything is possible. Keeps you sharp between the ears and pays just a little more attention. It isn't to make a statement. It changes the world, one step at a time. And squeezes our egos, insecurities, and fears into tiny little metaphorical balls before crushing them. The curious don't just think, they do. Stay curious.
We're so glad to welcome you as part of our community tonight.
Started music with in the children's choir. That was our mom's idea, and we really enjoyed it. We were like 6, 7 years old. Like when I was 10 years old, with the piano. And this is the piano that I got. Oscar as well studied piano. This certainly developed our passion for the classical music. The neighbors used to see us playing the piano. People used to sit somewhere here listening to us practicing. I guess we were not that great, but it wasn't that common here in Manizales to hear the piano. Our parents there has been always passionate about nature, about plants, and coffee. Coffee is a very important thing in our family tradition.
This is my favorite place on earth, the coffee farm, La Finca de Café. We only produce coffee, but we have a very good coffee. And you can try it now because we are bringing officially some coffee to Switzerland. Oscar is the contact. Here is Dad, le scientifique, proud of his coffee plantations. This is the land of our ancestors, Echeverry, in Quimbaya, and it is really paradise.
Welcome, or should I say, thank you for welcoming us. Juan Carlos, I want to start with you. So tell us about your parents. How did they meet? Who are they? And how did they find this lovely home?
Oh, well, that's a long story, but to make it short, well, thank you very much. Hello, everybody. They met through French language because my mom used to direct for a while the Alliance Française in our city, Manizales. And my father was a student at the university and he went to take French lessons, and he fell in love with his teacher.
The language of love.
Absolutely.
It's the fault of the French language.
And so then they moved into this house, and you were born in this house?
And we were actually, I came to this house when I was 5 months old, but I'm the eldest one. Otherwise, Oscar and Ana Maria, they were born in this house. And we've been, we grew up all here, and our parents live still here in this house.
So tell us about this room you're in and the music that you would make. How did you get into music? What was music like in your household?
Well, we started singing very early in a children's choir, and then we went on with flute, guitar, solfège, and around 10 we started with the piano. and the piano was definitely like the major instrument in this house. And since the piano got here, it's been played all the time. I mean, always, because Oscar played the piano, my sister played the piano too, and we have a cousin who is like a sister too, who came to live with us, and she played the piano too. So everybody studied piano in this house.
Question, yeah, for your parents, they both are musicians. They also played piano?
Not at all, but our mother was very, very keen of singing, lyrical singing. She had a beautiful voice. She doesn't have it anymore because she had an operation and she's now a bit older, but she had a beautiful voice. She studied voice. She took a lot of voice lessons. She was in a choir. Let's say that she didn't have like a soloist personality, but she did have the musical talent and the beauty of the voice. This kind of somehow had to influence us, I would say so.
And tell us, so it's uncommon, or at least at that time, uncommon to have a piano in a house in Manizales.
Yes, I mean, probably still today, but in those times, I mean, like 30 years ago, I don't know, or 40 years ago, yes, it was uncommon, and especially people studying music professionally was really not the kind of thing of this society.
Mm-hmm. And what this society, most people, what do they do there?
You know, Manizales is like a bourgeois city. They, you know, everything like doctors and lawyers and engineers, like Oscar started.
Okay, but it's mostly known. The whole area is very well known for coffee.
Absolutely.
Oscar, tell me, what was it like in this house in Manizales, this beautiful house, making music? What are your first memories of making music there?
Hello, everybody. Yeah, I have a lot of memories. Of course, what Juan said already with the piano. And well, we used to play for each other while the other way was listening to, or sometimes we were asked to play for somebody, but sometimes it's, you know, you don't like as a child to do that. And I have very good memories of people, professional musicians at that time, coming to our place, to our house, like visits, important visits. And let's say Teresita Gomez, who is a piano teacher of Juan Carlos, probably he will tell you about that. Or David Levy, also a pianist conductor who at some point they were at home for several days probably. And so we had this great soirée where this piano was very, very, very nice used, you know, let's say, played. And I mean, not only the instrument, but the conversations and to share experiences, to hear from those people, that certainly was a big influence, a big important point.
That's just lovely. Wow. So this is how you two started. So Juan Carlos, I'd like to ask you, so you are now a professional singer. Tell us about how you began in Colombia. In this place, like you said, it's unusual to be a professional musician.
It's true. I didn't even know, even if we were good students, I mean, when good piano students, no one told us that we could become professional musicians, or at least no one told me. And so I started doing a graphic design for 2 years in Bogota, but then I changed and I went back to music because I was all the time like singing and singing. So I took my piano again and I applied for the conservatory. I entered the Universidad de los Andes in Bogota with this teacher who Oscar mentioned before, Teresita Gomez, who is a famous pianist and especially a great big personality and great artist. She gave me a lot of opening and showed me the path of what a musician and what music is. And so after that, I went to Germany to study voice.
But may I break in a moment? So tell us, so This is the Teresita Gomez whom you met in Manizales. She stayed at your house.
I met her in Bogota. I asked her I was very shy, but I asked after one of her concerts, I asked her secretary to have an audition, and she took me as a student. And she was a professor at the University of Los Andes, so I went to the university because of her. I applied to university because of her, and it was a great, great experience. And then we became very good friends. So I brought her to Manizales, and that was a major, sharing of, these great artists playing every day. We were going out, we were singing, it was very intense and very, very important for us, for the family.
So the natural next question, she's a pianist. You said you're studying piano. Why singing? How did you change?
Okay, I would say that I was always a singer. I always sang naturally. When I wanted to be serious about the piano, which I love, it's like an incredible instrument, a great instrument. It was too late. I was already maybe like 18 years old, and that's, if you don't have a solid technique for what I wanted, which was being a soloist, and it was too late for that. So because I was always singing and I was always obsessed with voice, and I wanted to sing, but not opera. So I decided to change into voice. That was the natural path.
And what were the experiences that led you there? What were the music? What got you? What hooked you on voice?
Okay, I was studying at the university. I was studying piano, very happy, very passionate about that repertoire. And I also I joined the opera choir for one season at the Opera de Colombia. And the first opera that I did in the choir as a chorist was Carmen, and it was a shock. It was like an artistic shock. I loved it from, the first time I listened to that music. And I wanted to be then a tenor because I saw Don Jose singing for the Carmen, so passionate that I said like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. Singing and acting, perfect.
And what exactly is a tenor?
Tenor is the highest male voice, and actually is the voice that people hear the most because of the frequencies. The higher voices are more receptive by the human ear. So, and tenor are always the main roles, and the heroes and the guys who go and take the soprano at the end of the opera.
So now you have eventually made yourself into this tenor. Could you sing for us a little bit of Carmen?
But I need a fa. Okay. This is the phrase of Don José, who sings the aria La fleur que tu m'avais jetée, the flower that you throw to me. Carmen threw him this flower when she was in prison, and he is now in prison, with his flower, thinking of her. La fleur que tu m'avais jetée dans ma prison m'était restée, flétrie et sèche cette fleur, gardez toujours sa douce odeur.
That's lovely. Wow. Very well. That's just lovely. So tell us, so then you decided it was important to study singing professionally. And then for that, you needed to go to Germany. Tell us how that happened.
I arrived to Germany as a piano student, but then I realized, of course, that I didn't have the level to keep with the piano as a soloist. But people start later with voice. Voice, you can start late. The instruments like violin, piano is, you have to start really well as a child. So I hesitated between composition and voice. I finally choose voice because composition is very, very difficult. The exams are, for conductors and composers, it's just crazy. So I thought, and I wanted to do composition to write for myself. So I said, no, let's study voice. And that's it.
And so you just you left Bogota, and you moved to Germany.
I was already taking German lessons and deciding in Germany if I wanted to, what I should do, if composition or voice. And I talked to some professors of composition, and I also did some auditions for singers, for the singing professors. And definitely I went rather to the singing.
Okay, and how was it when you first moved to Germany, just like you're the first in your family to move to Bogota, I imagine? How was it?
Absolutely. Well, I've been always like, I don't know, it's been always so easy for me. I arrived to Germany and I loved everything the minute I got there. I was going to the opera all the time. I was going to this La Philharmonie, which has like the major orchestras, best conductors, great singers, great piano, everything every day. So how can you not be so happy after in Colombia, we had like the discs and not even because they were expensive and you had to go and find these artists in the covers of the discs. And then in Cologne, we had them every night. Very happy. I loved German language. I loved the culture of that country and the education is fantastic. So everything was great.
So let's go to Oscar now. So Oscar, you did not go into singing right away. You were doing piano. You studied engineering. So tell us how did you eventually get into music?
Yes, I had my piano lessons, private lessons, many years. We had also, like flute. We had the guitar. We were singing in the choirs. And when I was studying civil engineering, I started also to sing in the choir of the university. And at some point, the choral conductor was about to retire. So I came with the idea of do something for him, to prepare something for him together with the other singers as a surprise to be sung in a ceremony of the administration. So I think that was my first, let's say, conducting job, not job, but idea project. My first conducting project, you could say.
And what was this music? Your brother's was Carmen, and your music?
It was a Colombian folk choral piece. It is actually it's called Jambambe, and it's based on Cuban. It's like a Negro song, and it's I remember it's a piece where like basses start and then go tenors join in, and then alto and soprano and so on, and builds up. It's a very African rhythmical piece.
Can you sing a little bit for us or play a little bit?
Yeah, it was like, let me see. Start the basses. Jambambo, jambambe, jambambe, jambambo. Jambambo, jambambe, jambambe, jambambo. Jambambo, jambambe, jambambe, jambambo. Repica el Congo solongo, repica el negro bien negro, repica el Congo solongo, repica el negro bien negro. You have to imagine like all these voices keep singing, and then it gets bigger and bigger.
But this sounds quite complicated for a group of amateur singers.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't imagine how did I manage to put this together. I guess it was not like the best, but it was because it was a surprise. It was a good feeling, and
That's
we were all very
lovely.
happy. Yeah.
And so what happened then? This was your debut, and then you decided you're 1 year younger than your brother, and you decided to follow him in his footsteps.
Well, the thing is, when I finished my studies, my civil engineering studies, I started to study music, and but not 100%, just like I don't know, like in the evening mostly. And I was singing in the opera choir in the city, Manizales, and doing more and more. And I was really, really, really interested. And at some point, I had to change my place where I was living because of the job. And at that point, I had actually to quit with all my musical activities. And it was a shock for me. And I thought, well, I really will think about and see if, well, what I wanted to do with music. And after some time, I decided, well, I want to study music. I want to do it for real, and I want to give it a try. So I decided, I started like looking around, okay, what's the best option? Of course, I liked Europe. And because Juan Carlos was already there, like the way was more or less known how to get to Germany. So that's how it started. At some point, I organized everything and I left. And I arrived in Cologne.
And you told him, I'm moving in with you.
I told him,
I remember receiving a phone call saying like, well, hey, Juan, please find out what it is to get in the conservatory to study because I want to keep with the music. So I thought like, I thought it was great, of course. I was very happy that Oscar would come to Europe as well. I was a bit worried about my father, the poor, our father, because Oscar was already, at least he had a job, he had a house, a car, he had a normal life. And then like, so one crazy in the family is enough, but not two, it's too much.
Wow. Very brave men, very brave Oscar to, like you say, give up his career and say, okay, I'm going to start at the beginning again.
Not easy, not easy, yes.
Yeah.
And so what did you do then, Oscar? Because you had no music formation, really, like your brother did, that you arrive in Germany, and he had, I think, trouble getting into this prestigious conservatory in Cologne. What did you do? What was your path?
Exactly. I thought, well, I have to do all this basic music formation, as you said. And my path was, well, first I had to learn German. And then my path was through the University of Cologne. And then I got into the conservatory, Musikhochschule in Cologne. All this in the areas of school music. When in Cologne and the conservatory, it's you get a really, really good wide stuff formation when you are studying school music. So I had like great piano teacher, great theory teachers, and really a lot of things to learn. So that was actually certainly the best way. And I was always thinking on conducting, that was always my goal. At some point in the conservatory in Cologne, I thought, okay, I guess I might be ready to start conducting now. And kind of a coincidence, I met a guy, a friend from Spain, who was in Amsterdam before. And he told me about the conservatory in Amsterdam, the teacher. So I got curious and I went there. I met the teacher. I saw the school and the conservatory in Amsterdam, and I liked it. I applied and I got a place to start choral conducting in Amsterdam.
Which is not easy to get a place as a conducting
It is not,
student.
yes.
So that's quite impressive. So I want to go back to Juan Carlos. So Juan Carlos, you're there at this prestigious music school. Your brother has just moved in with you. What are the next steps in your career?
Well, let's say that the major next step, I started like very like low profile because the Cologne Conservatory is a huge and very important school with a huge voice department. I think the biggest in Europe, if I'm not mistaken. And so I started like, you know, that was my first experience really starting singing every day and very disciplined. But I finished, you know, I discovered that I was considered like an Italian voice, like an Italian tenor, because of course I'm in Germany and I have this Latin voice. So I discovered a very nice repertoire. They gave me every Verdi, Puccini, which is actually not my repertoire, but in the music school it was. And I applied for 3 opera studios, the best I could. The Opera de Paris, the Metropolitan Opera House, and the Scala de Milan. So the first competition was the Paris Opera competition, and I was taken after the 3 rounds. I was one of the winners, so I just moved to Paris. I knew I would move to Paris in the following year. So it was a major, major thing. That was the best, like the major moment.
So your whole family is founded on French and French culture. That's how your parents met. What did they say when you told them that you'd won one of the most prestigious places and most prestigious opera houses in the world?
That was in 2001, and I remember I didn't speak French at all, but I managed to call my mom and speak to her in French, saying that her son would be living in Paris and working at the Paris Opera House. So that was very emotional, very.
Wow, that's amazing. So I'd like to take a look at some of the work that you're doing now. Some of your opera roles. We have here. You said your one of your repertoire pieces is La Traviata by Verdi. Can you tell us a little bit about this role, about what we're about to see?
Okay, Alfredo is a wonderful role. Music, the Traviata, La Traviata is famous all over. Probably Carmen and Traviata are the most famous operas. And it is because of a reason. It is so natural, it's a real story. And Alfredo goes mad at the end of the opera because of a big manipulation by his father. But this this part that we are going to see is the first time he meets Violetta, and he declares his love. He says that since the first time he saw her, he's been loving, but from that kind of love that rules the universe, and it is mysterious. It is a cross and a joy.
And this is like you were saying, you are the hero in this, and you get the soprano.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow. And I have to say, you look really better in a tux than I've ever seen anybody look in a tux.
That's the role.
So this is Alfredo, another aria.
Oh, this is the moment. Okay, and this is the moment where he goes mad and he thinks, he humiliates her in front of everybody in a party. So this is the moment where he's absolutely mad.
Wow. Juan Carlos, what exactly happens here?
Okay, he's absolutely mad because he thinks he went back to being a prostitute. And so he goes to the party where he knows she is, and he humiliates her. He tries to convince her to come with him, but of course she doesn't want to, because she swore to his father to abandon Alfredo so that that family could live and have a normal life. So he's absolutely mad, and he comes and he wants to kill her. He humiliates her in front of everybody. In this case, I throw the money to her, but in some other productions, different things happen.
So, but this doesn't seem like when I'm talking to you, this kind of role that comes naturally to you. You're a very, very nice person.
I think we all have all these things inside, and it is very good to be able to live all those things on stage, so that our lives can be a little bit more balanced.
Wow. Wow. I think, which theater were you singing in?
That was in the Opéra de Massy, in the south of Paris.
Okay, okay. Wow. So I want to go on to Oscar. So Oscar, so tell us, you moved into conducting, you're in Amsterdam, and you're doing choir conducting. Now today
Correct.
you're doing orchestra conducting. I'm wondering, can we have a look at that? Wow. Oscar, so I guess you've come a long way from school music.
Yes, this is as a concert in Czech Republic, in Hradec Králové, which is a city like 1.5 hours from Prague. And this is part of a program that I'm attending in the University of Arts here in Zurich.
Okay, so you're still studying.
Yes, this is a study block, let's say, orchestra conducting. It's called Weiterbildung. And you get the opportunity to work with orchestras in Europe, in Bulgaria, in that case, in Czech Republic. And I go there with other fellow conductors, and we prepare a program and we do a concert. Right.
And so clearly you have this talent for getting people together, to put them together, just like you did that concert for your professor who was retiring. I'm wondering if we can take a look at the choir music you've conducted. Wow. So Oscar, so this I can tell that you are can be just as passionate as your brother, but
for sure.
it seems in a different way. So, but that this music deeply moves you.
This is so incredible. I mean, it's actually impossible to describe what it feels to be and that on that spot, surrounded by all these musicians, and just having the chance to form, to shape this beautiful music. I mean, that's really.
Tell us a little bit about what does this mean? Yeah, so obviously Juan Carlos is singing directly to the public. You have your back to the public, and you're behind this grand piano. What exactly are you doing? You're moving, and what are you communicating to these musicians? Because they're reading already music. Wouldn't it distract these musicians to have some guy standing there trying to distract them with his hands instead of just reading from the music? What is it that you're doing?
Well, it's many things. It's many things. It's difficult to explain shortly, but let's say in the rehearsal process, I organize a lot. I help them to play the music in the way the composer meant the music, or at least the way I think the composer meant the music. I help them a lot also to have an expression, an intention. Is it sad? Is it melancholic? Is it joyful? What kind of music is that? And I communicate that with my gestures. Is it loud? Is it loud? Is it soft? Is it?
Can you, now this sounds very theoretical to me, Oscar. It sounds philosophical almost. But can you show me, what does this mean if you're saying loud? Can you sing and show us what you mean when you say it's loud or when it's soft? Or?
Well, for instance, with this piece, when the orchestra enters after the pianist plays solo with this beautiful melody. This is Rachmaninoff, by the way. It's a rhapsody on a theme of Paganini. Paganini was this crazy violin player. And when the orchestra enters, this is on the 3. Let's say this music is 1, 2, 3, and they start on 3. So before that, I show them there is a 1, and then I prepare them to enter. I look at the instruments that come in this case, violins and cellos, and I tell them probably this is a mezzo forte, I guess what the composer wrote, and I move accordingly. If I want softer on that place, then I would reduce the size of my gesture, of my movements. So I mean,
but how do you? Because you tell me this, but then I think, yeah, if I was looking at Oscar, I wouldn't do that. So how do you make sure? How do you make sure that they're doing what you want?
Well, normally it works. But I mean, I have to be very clear. I have to be very clear with my movements. That's accordingly to the music, to the dynamic that is also written. I mean, of course, they have the notes, and they in the best case they have also the dynamic written. Is it piano? Is it mezzo forte? Is it forte? And I gave this cue with this intention. And also, do I want like a very serious entrance, for instance, or do I want like a very passionate music playing? And all this information, the conductor puts in his hands, in his body. That's the idea.
That's lovely. So, unfortunately, we're running out of time. I'd like to ask you about Colombia today. I know that since 2016, there was a peace treaty signed with the FARC rebels, and for the first time in history, the Americas are in peace. There's no war happening in that hemisphere, in the entire Americas. You two have both more or less left Colombia to make careers abroad. How do you see the future? Maybe Juan Carlos, we'll start with you.
Yes, actually, very interesting question. I already started seeing my future before the coronavirus, I started already looking towards Colombia and to see what I could do here, what I want to share with my country all these learnings and all these experiences. And I would love to do some stuff for my country. And so I would like to be more time in Colombia. And also we have these coffee plantations. We have 3 small coffee plantations, but still we have 3 beautiful pieces of land. And I wanna do something as well. I wanna mix the whole thing. I think I wanna be, all of a sudden, I wanna still be a tenor, a musician, an artist, but also a coffee grower, and maybe with an ecological project or ecological tourism or something. So maybe you listening here might come to Colombia very soon and stay with us, or try our coffee.
So Juan Carlos, I wanted to ask you, how is it your relationship? Tell us about this coffee thing, because you mentioned this before. How is it that you got into coffee?
Well, we've been always into coffee. I mean, our grandfather had already a coffee plantation, and that's one little piece of that big coffee plantation is still in the family today. And I didn't drink coffee before I arrived to Germany. I got to Germany, I had to wake up very early to start to study because I had a lot of things to catch up. And I used to drink this cheap coffee from the cheapest supermarket in Germany. So I didn't know what good coffee was. 2 years later, I came for the first time to see my parents, and I tried our coffee, and it was a shock, and it was a revelation. And I was like, okay, I'm never having bad coffee ever again in my life. So, and I started bringing that coffee to Europe, always from our plantations to Europe to drink it for myself or to give for some friends. And now, since a few years, we've been also consuming this coffee, giving it to friends, and now we're going to sell it. And now, for the first time in many, many years, this coffee has arrived in Switzerland, and Oscar will tell you more about it.
And I wanted to ask Juan Carlos, what's different about this coffee? How do you make it differently?
Okay. Our father directed the research department for Café de Colombia. So he's been always a very, very an expert in coffee. And his hobby has been also having these coffee lands and applying what he knows there. So why our coffee is special? Because we use more or less no pesticides. People are well paid. They have social security. They are happy there. And we only collect the, how do you say, mûr, the red beans. I mean, when they ripe, the ripe beans, when it is ready. The difference with the Brazilian coffee, for instance, is that they take every bean, green or red. Colombian coffee only take red beans. It is more expensive. We sometimes, coffee growers, have been losing money, but the quality and the excellence, it is always there.
So you sold me. Where can I buy this coffee?
Oscar?
Yes, it happens that we found a roaster here in Zurich who just wanted to have this coffee, and we organized. I mean, we are musicians, so we don't have an idea of actually import, but somehow, with a lot of patience and asking everywhere, we got this coffee here imported in Switzerland. So you can probably you can put later a link, but the coffee looks like that more or less. I mean, this is like a package that I'm consuming now. So normally it's like
there it is, the Echeverry family.
Exactly. Wow. Can you read it?
Yes.
Exactly.
I don't want to pronounce that wrong.
This is I mean the
Risaralda.
That's the name that the roaster just put to that coffee, to our coffee. And So if anybody who happens to be in Zurich can buy, order, or drink the coffee in this place.
So I hear that you have a special surprise, you two, for us.
Okay.
Yes.
Oscar is
Exactly.
ready.
Wait.
Let me get Oscar ready.
We're gonna sing, we're gonna perform, play, sing a song of an Argentinian composer, Alberto Ginastera. The song is called El Árbol del Olvido, the tree of the, what would be the best word?
Oblivion, or no, or forgetting, I don't know. The tree of olvido. L'arbre de l'oubli. Okay. En mis pagos hay un árbol que del olvido se llama, al que van a despenarse vitalidad. Los moribundos del alma. Para no pensar en vos bajo el árbol del olvido, me acosté una nochecita vidalita y me quedé bien dormido. Al despertar de aquel sueño, pensaba en vos otra vez, pues me olvidé de olvidarte, Vidalita. En cuantito me acosté.
Wow. Wow, that's just lovely. So we're almost out of time. I just wanted to ask everybody, all the participants tonight, if you have any questions, Oscar and Juan Carlos are here for you. Just write something in the chat room or turn on your mic and ask. Otherwise, we'll go right now to Oscar's contact info. So Oscar, it's okay if everyone stays in contact with you?
Sure, yes, of course, please.
So we have here Oscar's website. Should be in the chat room. So you can go there and then contact him whenever you like. And so do we have that? We have Oscar's website. And Juan Carlos' website. Juan Carlos is available on
Facebook,
Oh,
Instagram.
okay. Sorry, I think we have it here. I have it here. Oscar, www.oscarecheverry.ch. Okay, so Oscar is available there to contact him anytime, and Juan Carlos is there on. There's Juan Carlos on Instagram. Perfect. So Juan Carlos, it's okay. Everyone can contact you and reach out about your.
Absolutely. Instagram and YouTube channel. Should I write it down? I mean, it is Juan Carlos
Yes.
Echeverry.
YouTube, okay? YouTube, Juan Carlos.
I think it is there, right?
Oh, it's already there? Okay, perfect. Okay, great. And so we had one question here. How is it performing together, but so far apart physically?
Oscar, answer.
There is a difficulty of the synchronization. So what we did is I made a recording of this accompaniment. I sent it to Juan, and I'm following this sound here, but very carefully, so that I don't make a big crush. How do you say? Cluster of the sounds.
So very, very clever. I understand. So what you see is not necessarily what you get. Okay. I just want to say again, thank you to Oscar. Thank you to Juan Carlos for being with us, for making this such a special time. Thank you for your talents. Thanks to your family for the opportunity to hear your music and to get to know such two wonderful people. And thank you very much to our production team who work so hard to make all these videos, to make everything happen. We just couldn't do it without them. Thanks to the Student Hotel again for hosting us. And thanks to you, all of our participants. Without you, then our work would have no meaning. So we thank you so much. For now, goodbye from Manizales, goodbye from Zurich, and goodbye from Vienna.